Hello, everyone. This is Cece Shatz, and you're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We're on the Business Showcase, and I am so excited to be with you today. Sometimes we kind of change it up. We have a lot of different topics, and today it's like no other. We have a terrific topic. The topic today is, let's see it, how good is your imagination? So how good is it? Well, our guest today, she's going to help us with that, and I am so glad to have her with us. She is truly, let's bring her on board here so that you guys can see her here. And she is outstanding. She is a dating coach, an author, a founder of Happy Dating, Positive Psychology for Your Love Life. And she's going to share with us a little bit about herself. I know you're from Sweden. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Oh, did I say your name? You're Linnea Molander. Did I pronounce it correctly?
It's close enough. It's a very Swedish name. It's a tricky one.
Okay, I didn't tell your name. Okay, I'm going through a good one here. But yes, you're from Sweden, so I'm excited to have you on board. We have a wonderful host that's from Belgium, and we love that so much. But you're here over in the U.S. in New York City. So how is that working for you?
It's so exciting. I've been working as a digital nomad for about a year now. So I spent 3 months in Bali last winter, and then I have my base in Stockholm. It's just amazing. It's so intense going on, and I'm also a huge Broadway geek, so I'm seeing all the shows.
That's wonderful. You know, we're having a little bit of trouble with your broadcast. It seems like your internet is a little bit slow. I don't know. Can you see anything at all? Because you seem to be a little bit.
Here it works well. Let me see what it says.
Yeah, let's see here. I think we're okay now. Okay, I think you're okay now. A little bit blurry, but you're okay. But yeah, I wanted to bring you on the show because, you know, you're just an outstanding lady and you do a lot of different things. And here on the Business Showcase, that is something that we are inspired, you know, with, because a lot of our people are, you know, they have businesses of their own. They're doing a couple different things at one time. And so I wanted to bring you on because you have great topics, but also because you are the same way. You get going, you get up in the morning and you get going. And it's great to have someone like that. So tell us, how did you get into being a dating coach?
Well, I think I pretty early on realized that I wanted to work for myself. I have never really fit into any like regular boxes, and I always want to do things my own way. And if I have my own business, I can, but if I'm employed by someone, I have to do it their way, and that hasn't always worked for me. So I knew I wanted to work for myself, and the interest in dating psychology started with a personal need to understand specifically attraction psychology. Like, what is the difference between a friendly friendship connection and this spark? Because I could, like, my entire life, I could always like make friends so easily, but it felt like I don't understand this whole attraction thing. So I decided that I wanted to figure it out for myself. So I did a really deep dive into that to understand it. And I was also doing a 3-year coaching university program at a university in Sweden. And while learning positive psychology and neuroscience there and other exciting things, I always kept like in the back of my mind, I was like, how can you apply this to dating? And in the beginning, it was just for me, because I thought like it looked like everyone else had this whole dating relationship attraction thing all figured out. And it wasn't just me who didn't get it. But when I started talking to people about it, I realized that I wasn't alone. This is a huge problem for a lot of people. And then I had the luck of graduating around the same time as Tinder was launched. So that was very good, very lucky timing. So I realized like, okay, I'm not alone. There are a lot of people who need this, and I could help them. So I think I have my business idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I tell you what, there is, I mean, a huge amount of people that are out there dating now. It seems like divorces, you know, like 50% of divorces now. And then those are stepping forward into dating. And what I am finding is that they do need some assistance with it. It's not so easy just to swipe and look on a a picture, because the essence of the person doesn't really come out, does it?
No, not necessarily. And we're also not trained to look for that, because I have a big problem with this idea that no one teaches us how to date or how to have good relationships, but still everyone is expected to make it work. Like, how are we supposed to make this work? And the advice we get is usually very passive, like just be yourself, or don't think so much about it, or it will happen when it happens. Whereas I see it as a skill. This is something that most of us need to learn. And if we don't need to learn it in the dating phase, at least we need to learn it in the relationship phase. And I sometimes see dating coaching as a relationship counseling, but just in a different phase of it. So there is nothing different. Like, sometimes you're in a relationship and you need professional help with that. And sometimes you're single and you need professional help with your dating. And we're not taught to understand, seeing our own essence or seeing someone else's essence. And we're bombarded with really bad advice and all of these usually pretty shallow dating profiles. So, yeah.
Yeah, most certainly. I agree with you completely. Well, let's talk a little bit about our subject today. We're going to talk about how good is your imagination. So share with us a little bit what you're thinking with regards to that.
Yeah, so there's one thing that I've seen a lot with my clients, and it's almost like the opposite of the grass is greener on the other side, because instead of thinking something better is over there, I noticed that a lot of people don't believe that what they want exists, that a person that would treat them well exists, or that a person who matches their desire exists. So when we come to a point in the coaching process where we start talking about what do you want, what would work for you, or what would feel really good for you, a lot of people just tell me flat out that those kinds of people don't exist. I've never seen a man like that. And even if we can shift that mindset and we start exploring, do a reality check, see do they exist, the second thing that they tell me is yeah, but even if he or she exists, they wouldn't be interested in me. And this means that people have confused my own little life experience. This is the things that I've had happen to me in my life. They have that confused with everything that exists in the entire universe. And those are two completely different things, obviously. And we need to practice our imagination outside of this little experience-based box. And especially if you have crappy things in your little experience box, and that is all you can imagine, you will keep manifesting and keep reliving those bad experiences. So, and this goes for everything. What would your dream job be like? How would you want to live your life? And if you can't think outside or imagine something better than what you've already experienced, you're going to be stuck in this little old spiral of crap.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I often talk with my dad a lot, to take care of my dad, and I talk to him a lot about, dreaming. We talk about dreaming a lot, and what we want to happen, and and I'll talk to him about the business, what I want to happen with the business, and this and that, and what I find myself, it just kind of uplifts me. When I'm doing that, even though I'm still treading, on the treadmill like everybody else that's in business. And I tend to wonder, even those that are up higher, that are making more money, doing well, they're still on that treadmill too. It's just a different treadmill. It's just a little higher up on the treadmill. Yeah. But the thing is they're all still doing it. But you do have to step out of the box of where you're at and look towards where you want to be, right?
Yeah, and in order to have any kind of drive and motivation to do that, you need to see it as somewhat real. If you think it's impossible or that you're going to fail, you won't be very motivated to try. But what I see, as soon as we can shift this mindset and people realize oh, maybe that person does exist, or maybe this relationship is possible, or maybe I could live that life, then it's a attainable goal, and it's so much easier to start walking towards it.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, sometimes I wonder, do you think it's because sometimes individuals feel they're not worthy of something more?
I think we are drawn to the things that we are used to. We don't go for the partner that we want, we go for the partner that feels familiar. And I think that goes for a lot of things in life. And one thing that I notice again with a lot of clients is that If you come from a traumatic background, or if you're used to life being messy, feeling good will be outside of your comfort zone. So I will have to, like, using positive psychology tools, train people to feel good, to be happy. Because if you're used to having like all the madness and the craziness and chaos of life in your face, if we remove it, a lot of people get so fearful because they're like, where's the chaos? You can come from anywhere. And if you have it in your face, at least you know where it's at. And if the lack of chaos makes you fearful, you will create more of it to feel safe. So for a lot of people, it's about slowly expanding your comfort zone so that you can have a like bigger acceptance of joy and peace and love and success. Because that is freaking scary to someone who's not used to it.
Yeah. So when you were talking there, one thing I did catch was that about patterns in our lives. Sometimes our expectation level is at that particular level due to patterns that are in our lives. And so don't we sometimes have to step out of the pattern, or maybe we have to, I guess, first thing, acknowledge that we do have patterns, especially in relationships. Yes. And then how do we step out of that once we do recognize that we are kind of gotten ourselves into a groove here of maybe making the wrong choices in life? How do we get back into the groove of making the right choices?
Well, I work very practically. Like, in order to create new results, we have to do new things. So like understanding is good, but like all of my clients have read all the books. They're very smart women and a few men. And they know things and they've been to therapy, but just knowing doesn't create new results. It's almost like reading a book about like physical training. You won't get stronger. You have to go to the gym as well. So even though part of it is understanding, you have to apply a practical action to it. And that is the breaking of the pattern. A lot of the times it's just doing the opposite. And I think people get stuck in not acknowledging that what they are doing isn't working. So a lot of the times I just ask the question like, okay, now you tried this with like 15 dates and it worked for 0 of them. Obviously, it's probably not going to work the next time either. So can we just like wrap this up and consider this like the wrong way to do it, and we'll try something else? And most people will agree to that. And they ask me, okay, what should I do instead? Which is usually around like the exact opposite. And that will usually be quite scary because we have our patterns, because we have been taught that this is the way to stay safe in this world. This is how the world works, and this is what you need to do to stay safe. And often that was true at one point when you learned it, but it's not true anymore. So we need to acknowledge that you have changed. You are not a child anymore. You don't live with your parents anymore. It's not their love that you're trying to get when you're dating someone. Running a business is not like being in school either. So we need to acknowledge that you are an adult right now, and so some things work differently because of that, and also like the circumstances are different. So acknowledging what is not working and doing the opposite, even though it might be really scary, is the practical way of breaking the pattern. And at first it will feel like very strange because you are going against something that usually kept you safe for parts of your life. But as soon as you try it and notice that it's working so much better, you will want to keep going on with the new pattern instead.
Very good. Often I know that we do talk about dating because we are a single station. And so that kind of is something that we're doing. But this particular show is about business, a business showcase. Mm-hmm. And the elements of what we're speaking, it really coincides with building a business, because you're building a business on relationships, aren't you?
Yeah.
And so all of that we talk about when we're talking about even dating, we're talking about building a relationship with someone. Yeah. So when we're talking about patterns, the same thing can be applied to our business strategies. Are we in the same in the same pattern that we're doing? Because sometimes, I think what's amazing about business is that we can always look at things differently. We can experience things differently, just as we do relationships, right?
Yes.
And so they really coincide with each other, because I think as an individual is building their business, they really are putting into play all the elements of building a relationship. And so that's very, very important when you do that. You have to have that imagination, that mindset that you can create something, bigger and better than ever was before. And you have to believe in it, right? And so it's the same thing with dating.
Definitely, yes. And to start with understanding who you are and how you want to do it. It could be how do I want to have a relationship? What kind of relationship do I want? Or when you're having your own business, you can really design your own workplace based completely on your own strengths and your preferences or your desires. And I have used a lot of the positive psychology tools for how I run my business as well. So I know that success won't make me happy necessarily, but I do know that me being happy will make it a lot more likely that I succeed. And there is research on this. And there are so many things that we have to switch up for all of the parts of our lives, but even regarding business and work as well. So I have on top of my to-do list every day is make sure that I feel good. Because when I feel good, I feel inspired. I want to create. I want to help people. I want to bring forth the things that I have to give to the world and to offer to other people. And on crappy days, I don't have as much to offer, which means that on those days, what is my most important thing to do that day is to take care of myself so I feel inspired again. And that is not usually how it works in a regular workplace, or self-care is usually not part of your work day or your tasks in a regular job. But running your own business really means that you can do it your way. And I've been doing a lot of things backwards now. People telling me you can't do that. That's impossible. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. I did it anyway. And that really excites me to see how can you do things backwards or personalize them so that they work for you. Because I think that is the key to so much.
You are so right, because I know when I first started doing the station, everybody said to me, oh, no, you can't do it like that. You can't do what I'm doing. And I totally like the singles and the going solo thing. You don't want to do that. You want to be more, more open. And I said, no, I want to do, this is really where I'm at in my life. And I want to be able to share it with other people. So it is so true. It's really, sometimes a niche is a good thing,
For sure. And I think that is super important, knowing who you want to help, because at first you might get overexcited. I want to coach everyone, and you want, you don't have a lot of clients, so you want a lot of clients and you don't niche down. And I noticed as soon as I was niching down, not only from happiness coach or just general life coach to dating coach, but also being super specific about what kind of persons I want to help, high achieving, successful business women mostly. And the things that I wrote on my website really resonated with them. I've started having so many comments where I'm like, wow, it feels like you're talking to me, or it's me you're describing in that blog post, or people really resonated. Whereas at first everyone was like, yeah, sort of, it seems kind of nice, but I don't think it's for me. So the more straightforward you can be with who you want to help and who that person is, that is going to make things shift in a really clear way.
That's excellent advice. And y'all, I do apologize. They are doing work next door. And so I'm having to mute myself a little bit so that we don't have a lot of that background noise. So I do apologize for that. But you are so right. And when we're building a relationship with someone, whether it be dating or business, right, we're looking long term, aren't we?
Yeah.
And so we want it's they really just kind of go side by side. So it's really being creative with regards to your outlook of life and using your imagination. So I love that. Tell us a little bit about, I know that you're an author, so tell us a little bit about what you've written.
Yeah, that is actually a great example of something that I did backwards. Because I was approached by a literary agent, and I actually got a book deal from a publishing house, but turned it down simply because it didn't feel right. I had been dreaming about becoming a published author for so long. I had such excitement around that, but still, when I was sitting in that meeting and they were like, yes, we want to publish your book, I felt nothing. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel exciting. And I was like, no, this isn't what it was supposed to feel like when I got my book deal. So I had a long, hard think about it. I meditated on it, and I talked to a lot of wise people around me. And I realized no, I'm gonna have to turn this down. So I did, and I published it myself as an ebook. And now, like 6 months ago, I also recorded it as an audiobook. So I am selling the book through my website. It's only Swedish right now, but it's been going really well. I'm very happy with the choice that I made, even though it sounded so backwards and counterintuitive at the time. Like you're sort of not allowed to say no to a book deal because that's such a cool thing. But it didn't feel right to say yes, and I'm very happy now, like a year or two later, with what I did.
Well, something else will come along. If they offered you once, they'll offer you again. And so, the more you grow, the more self-assured you are, and the more focused and driven you are, that will happen. And I think it's like that with all business. I think sometimes we think we're passing up on some sort of great deal when we don't feel good about it. And I love that you said that, because often that happens to us. There's an opportunity that comes forward, but something is telling us, maybe not. Maybe this isn't the right thing. Mm-hmm. And going with your instincts is vital. Is vital in business, is vital in life. Mm-hmm. And and so if it's a good thing, if it's a good deal, if you don't feel right with it, it'll come around again.
Yes. Yes, yeah. Better will come along, and it takes a while to practice that. First, you can like make intuitive decisions with tiny things that don't matter. Probably shouldn't do, like the first thing shouldn't be quitting your job or turning down a book deal. But if you practice with small things, and I did it over a long period of times, which is why I had the courage to do it with the book. So I tried with like things that didn't matter, and I noticed, like, for example, if I was invited to a party and I didn't feel super happy about going to that party, I didn't know why. I didn't have anything planned for that day, but it felt like, no, I'm not supposed to be there. So I turned down the party, and then like 2 hours later, something else came along that felt like so like intuitively, yes, my entire soul was like joyous with that option. And I did these things with like on a smaller scale, which made me trust the whole process of following my yes and following or saying no to things that didn't feel right. And so even though my mind doesn't always agree, I trust that intuition or that feelings more than my mind most of the time.
Yeah, I think it's a good tip for everyone to really step out of themselves and really have the confidence that when something isn't going exactly right and you don't feel good about it, just move over a little bit, and something else will come along. Yeah, so good with that. So what do you have in the future? And I know you're the founder of Happy Dating. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I started out with writing a lot as a freelance journalist. So that is sort of how I got known in Sweden and how I got most of my clients. So I wrote articles about positive psychology and dating psychology in like pretty much all of the big magazines. So that kept me going for a while, and then clients kept coming in, and then that sort of shifted. So it was less and less writing and more coaching. So now I do mostly one-on-one coaching. And going forward, I'm really excited to do more group work, because I'm noticing, that's also why I wrote the book, because I'm noticing that I'm saying like the same things to a lot of people, and it's not super efficient to say it to just one person at a time. It's very efficient for that person to get that specific guidance. But I think that I could help more people with less energy through doing group coaching work. And I'm also really excited to do coaching on stage, because I think just listening to a coaching session with someone who has the exact same problems as you could be pretty much as efficient as being coached yourself. So helping more people that way, and also doing more online courses, is what is feeling most exciting to me right now going forward.
Well, that sounds terrific. Now, how long are you going to be staying here in the U.S.?
I'm here for 2 months. Almost 1 month has passed.
Yeah, we're going to be sorry to see you go. So I'll have to take advantage of you as long as you're here.
Yeah, that will come back. I love it here.
Well, wonderful. Especially when you, start speaking and you start doing coaching on a grander scale, meaning less than one person, when you start having groups and stuff like that. I'm sure you'll be back here in the States, probably traveling around, and we'd love to have you here in Florida. That's for sure. That would be nice to have you. So yeah, it's amazing where your life will take you, and it sometimes shocks me that we have this mindset that we want something particular, but then our antennas go out and we're able to really move forward in a lot of different ways. And so I love our topic today about using your imagination. How good do you use your imagination? Because I think that's what really helps us to flow. And when I'm listening to you, I'm hearing that you're helping so many people. I mean, you truly are helping them move forward in their lives, building good relationships. Good relationships then play off on our business life. They play off in our personal life, our families. I mean, having and building and learning to build good relationships is the key, I think, to truly being happy. Don't you think?
Certainly, yeah. And it's very, very interesting to see that the clients that I get come because they want help with their love lives, or specifically with dating, but it always, like, that is just the doorway in. Then it's about them and it's about their lives. And it's interesting to see that so many of the people that I coach, they shift up so much in their lives. Like, more than half quit their jobs, which seems unrelated, but somehow is related, because if you want your love life to work, you need to be connected to how things feel to you. And most people aren't. They're stuck in their heads, so they can't listen to the guidance of, like, the feeling of yes or no. They're just overthinking, and that will give you completely different results and give you different choices. So when you really connect with, like, okay, what does this feel like for me? What do I want? What kind of life do I want to share with someone? That will sort of force you to think about who you are and what kind of life you want to create. And a lot of people realize on the way, they're like, what the heck am I doing at this work, like this job? Why am I here? This doesn't feel good. But if you were only thinking and you were doing, like, stuck in that little box of, like, yeah, I have a nice degree and this is a good job and people like it and it looks cool from the outside. And if you stop living your life according to that and start living from the inside out, you will have to shift so many things in your life. And that's a beautiful thing to see, that dating coaching is not about dating. It just looks like it is. But the real reason I'm doing this is to, like, liberate these women from being stuck in their minds and in this old pattern of how we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to live and what success looks like. Because when you release, like, this, I don't know, this mind prison that they're in, something else comes out. And so many of them have, like, an awesome business idea in their back pocket. They're like, yeah, what I really want to do is this. And it's something amazing that they've been dreaming about, but you can't just quit your job. Or, yeah, I want to travel there, or I want to help these kinds of people. And that is what's, like, the most exciting to me, because I think a lot of the times dating problems or relationships problems are in the way of so many other dreams. So we don't have to focus so much on those parts. When that is, like, taken care of and you feel confident and calm around your relationships, you can create so much more. You can realize so many other dreams, and you can start changing the world in a completely different way, because you're not stuck on, like, who is going to love me, but you can share your love with the world. And that is truly amazing to me.
Oh, yeah, so you are so right, because I do feel that you go in and this is what's so cool about coaches, is you go in and you talk to a coach about a particular subject. And what really happens is that you're like a flower and you start blossoming, because the core of the whole being is you, the whole essence is you. And so as I think coaches start peeling away the surface of what's there, the individual just blossoms out, and they start excelling in their business, in their personal life, and just being happy in their family life. And everything just keeps growing and growing, and it just gets bigger and bigger. And it's just truly an amazing feat. And so I think coaches nowadays, I think it's an awesome profession to be in. And I can definitely see where you're an expert in what you do.
Thank you. Yeah, and I agree with your, like, blossoming metaphor. The things start falling into place. There comes a sense of ease, because we are taught to struggle so hard. And we are taught that in order to be successful, you have to grind and you have to hustle and you have to struggle. But when you start living your life from the inside out and really like using your own strengths and following your own inner guidance or just following your joy, it gets so much easier and so much more fun. You don't have to struggle as hard.
It's true. I think you're right about, and I often say, especially coming from divorce, is to the one thing that you do need to focus on is finding your joy.
Yes.
And that is so true, because once you do that, once you really start understanding what makes you happy, the rest of it starts to fall in place. Well, I want to do this. Well, no, I don't want to do this. And, that starts truly helping you with that. So if someone is starting today and they're thinking to themselves that they want to step out, they want to find their joy a little bit, how could you recommend for them to begin, what steps they could start?
I love that question, because I talk about this all the time. Like my entire philosophy is happy dating, and happy is before dating for a reason. Because a lot of people think that finding someone will bring them the happiness, whereas I, again, mix things up the opposite way. No, you need to find your own joy. You need to know what makes you happy. You can't expect a stranger you haven't even met yet to know what makes you happy if you don't know. And again, this is practicing. So I talk a lot to my clients about like, are you having fun, like at all, or are you just working and going to the gym and sleeping? Do you ever do anything for fun? And a lot of people don't. Like this is like this adult disease of fun deficiency. And it might sound like a stupid, silly little thing, but it's so important to do things just for the fun of it. So I will actually have people practice having fun. And a lot of them don't even know what is fun, which is when I just go, oh, a treasure hunt. Like then we'll have to figure it out. We have to find out what feels fun to you, what is joy to you. And they will have to explore things and experience them with their senses. So that is something I talk a lot about, like experiencing your life and the things that are happening to you with your five senses, not just going around thinking about your life. Because you can't figure out what's fun through just writing a list. You have to do the thing and notice how that feels in your body. That's like the only way. And when you have found a few things like, oh, this feels like that, and this feels yummy, oh, this feels giggly, you do more of it and you make it a priority. Because having fun or doing things that feel good is not something that we should do at the end of the week or after the big project or as a reward. It's the fuel. Because otherwise it's like, yeah, first I'll go on the road trip and then maybe I will put gas in the tank if I have time. Like, no, you have to fuel up with joy and pleasure first, and then you can go on your epic adventure.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that also helps you in business. So if you're in a business or in a work, you don't necessarily have to have your own business, but if you're working and you truly dislike what you do, I mean, that radiates your whole being, and it goes out into your whole life, right?
Yes. Yeah, then you're obviously not the right person for that job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I acknowledge that not everyone can choose their dream job. Like there are some practical realities, but a lot of people can. A lot of people have a lot of freedom and can choose how they spend their days and what they do with their time. And there's very interesting like neuroscience research on what happens with the brain. Like our emotional states affect how the brain works. We literally become more aware and more intelligent and more like open to new solutions when we feel good. When we feel bad, we become very focused on the problem, not on the solution. So feeling good is actually a very efficient tool for solving problems.
So let me ask you, if there's a particular element, let's say you enjoy something, right? But you just don't like everything about it. Could be coworkers, it could be, anything, but you like a certain part of that. What would you say to someone if they like a certain part of something, but the whole picture they're not, that doesn't make them happy?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is to see that if you can shift something with the things that you don't like to make them more designed for you. Because maybe you don't have to like quit your job or shift something up in a big way, but usually we can like make small shifts that will make things feel more joyous. And I had one client who didn't really like her job, but she had to stay there for a while. But she was bringing joy into the workplace buying colorful pens and like notebooks with glitter on them. Like it's such a silly thing. But every time she saw her glittery notebook, she was reminded, like, joy is important for me, and I'm here for a reason right now, and then I'm going to move on and do something else in the future. But right now I'm here, but I'm taking the opportunity to fill this situation with joy however you can. And I talk a lot about like things that might seem silly and like not super efficient or real, but they actually work. And it's very interesting to see in the happiness, like in the experiments that they do in the research, the thing that they do to induce happiness, meaning to make people happy in a control group, is that they just show them a funny video clip. Like that is how the scientists make the control group feel happy emotions. So if they can use it, like you can watch a cat video to improve your mood in the moment. It's not a good way to, like, it won't change your entire life, it won't help with depression, but in the moment we are very flexible with how we feel, and small things can have a big difference.
I like that, what you say about in the moment, because I think so often we get out of our heads a little bit too much, and maybe we worry too much about the future, where we're going. If we're not happy with something, way it's going, it just kind of does a snowball effect, right? Yeah. But if we live in the moment and we focus on today, what is going to make us happy today? How can we get through maybe that particular element of our business or whatever we're doing that maybe we don't like as much, because we're not going to like everything all the time, but we focus on what makes us happy. Like, okay, when I get this done, I'm going to go do this, which makes me very happy, and then you look forward to it. So I love what you say about focusing on the moment and getting through that element of time, because that's very, very important. Yeah.
And see joy as an important thing. It's not silly. It's not something we can do later if we have time. It's not childish. It's really important. Like, if we're not having fun, what are we even doing here? Like,
yeah, absolutely. And life is too short. It's just really too short to be fooling around with something that you don't enjoy doing. And then on the same token let's talk a little bit about relationship building, about being in a relationship that is not really the best for you. How would you recommend someone to, if they're out there dating and they're finding that they're meeting people that are really not the right fit for them, what would you suggest for them to do?
First of all, I want to say that is a very important information, because a lot of the times we want it to work so much that we are afraid of the proof that it's not working, or we are afraid of the rejection, or we are afraid of getting disappointed, because then we have to start over. And a lot of people also want to be liked by everyone and have very hard time with accepting that sometimes it's going to click and sometimes it isn't. So we really need to see the rejection or the things that make us realize, like, this isn't it. We need to see those things as very important things that we need to know. If you are afraid to get that information, you will just postpone it and it will hurt more in the future. So as soon as you realize, I'm dating someone, but I just realized this is probably not going to work. Good that you noticed that. Good that you saw that. And of course you can talk about it. You can see if you can shift it. But the main thing, like the main point I want to get across when you ask that question, is that don't be afraid of the bad news. You need the bad news. You need to know what is wrong so you can compare it to what's right.
Good advice. That's very good advice. Well, I think this show is really very good. I hope that those that listen to it will understand that, it also, coincides with our relationship building, coincides with our businesses, with our working environment that we live in and we work in. And so it really all kind of blends together. And so some of the elements that we learn in dating, and I think today, we can definitely apply it to our business world too. And I think that's wonderful. So are there any last words that you would like to share with anyone? I'll hear the listeners.
I think, like I mentioned it briefly in the beginning, but seeing everything as a skill, seeing relationship building and dating as a skill, and also seeing business building as a skill. Because there are so many ideas that I should know this, or I shouldn't have to ask for help, or I shouldn't need a coach. If you do, you do. And there is no shame in that. Some things we just understand easily, and some things we need help with. And seeing it as a skill and as something that you can practice and learn will make it so much easier to take those steps to create new results. So don't blame yourself if it's hard. Read a book, listen to an expert, get a coach, and learn what you need to learn.
That's great advice. So now how can we get a hold of you?
I am, my website is there. That's the English website.
I know you have two of them, but I think if we go to this one, you get most of the information, right?
Yeah. And it's in English as well. I have a Swedish website, which is happydating.se for any Swedish-speaking people out there. But if you go to linneamolander.com, you will find me and everything you need to know and some inspiring content right there.
That's wonderful. And now, how do you do your coaching? Are you able to do that even at a distance?
Yeah, since I'm traveling around so much, I do most of the coaching over Skype or similar platform. So as long as we figure it out with the time zones, it's fine. And if you happen to be in New York right now or in Stockholm later on, if you're in the same geographical location as I am, we will meet face-to-face and do some coaching that way.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show with us. Now, pronounce your first name for me again so I don't mess it up. I want to make sure they know what your first name is. But it's a beautiful, how do you pronounce it again? It's
Linnea.
Linnea, and that's Molander. And so, of course, you can reach her right here on the website. I have it posted right here for you. But the beautiful thing is she is also one of our elite guests. And so she has her own page right on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. All of her links are there. Her information is there for you, and it'll be up. So if you come back and you're listening to a rebroadcast and you go, man, I really want to get a hold of her, just come right on the website. All of the information's right there, and you can contact her. Her phone number's there. Everything is there. So, and of course, if you're traveling, to New York, you're there now, which is great. Mm-hmm. And you will be back in Sweden after that, and then hopefully come back to the U.S. and tour around. That would be awesome. That would be great to have you. Well, it is wonderful. I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. You are outstanding. I'll put your information up here again. You are a dating coach, author, founder of Happy Dating. Wonderful. Your philosophy and the way you look at things is very positive. It's very down to earth and certainly can be applied, I think, to all areas of one's life. And so that's very, very vital as we move forward in life for sure. So I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Cece.
Thank you. Well, gosh, guys, it went very quickly, didn't it? And here on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, you are listening to the Business Showcase. This show will be rebroadcast both on the Business Showcase and on Going Solo with Cece. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. I love it. If you guys want to send me a message, right here's my email, goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. You know that I am the doyenne of relationship building. My name is Cece Shatz, and I hope that I will see you again here shortly. I can't wait. I'll talk to you later. Don't forget now, we got a huge lineup here on Thursdays. So our shows are really hopping on Thursdays. Just all you have to do is go on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Facebook page, and that's where all of our shows are located. We have a lot of live shows on Thursday. So see you later. Bye for now.